Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to your Raw review. So, I don't know how to start out this review. I don't know how to pose it, how to construct it, really. Because at the beginning of this show, it's like, I don't know how you're supposed to really enjoy it, how you're supposed to get into it. I mean, the announcement that Roman Reigns made, now this is a guy, like I said, this is far removed from how you feel about him as a character or anything. We'll get into that in a minute. I didn't really particularly care for this guy at first, wrestling wise, and then I really started to like the guy, and I saw, the crowd disapproval, and usually I have a tendency to go the other way when it comes to those things. I've noticed that with so many things like movies and music, I tend to, love things that people hate. Because it's not just trying to go against the grain to try to be cool or edgy or anything like that on YouTube, but it's mostly because usually I think that people just don't have any taste. And quite frankly, most people will probably say the same thing about me. But Roman Reigns comes out there, to a chorus of boos, and then he announces that he says his real name, which is actually his middle name. His first name is actually Lee Atty or something like that. I don't know, Samoan name. But he says his name is Joe, and he's been battling with leukemia for 11 years. That's been in remission. And I didn't know this, and I don't think a lot of other people knew this. I don't think, this is one thing where the dirt sheets say they know it all. Dave Meltzer's got it all figured out. Wade Keller can, tell you, basically anything about the business before it happens. But, it just proves that nothing what they say is, accurate. This is one thing they didn't know. They claim like they know all the wrestlers from front to back, and they don't. So Roman Reigns announces that he has leukemia. Some fucking retarded ass idiots in the crowd, start wutting him, which is just like, I don't know if certain people, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they thought it was a work at first. I don't know. And I even see people saying that now. And if you're saying that, please stop. please stop. I mean, honestly. At this point in the game, are you really going to say that? It's just, when something like this is announced, like out of the blue, so sudden and everything, we obviously know what it was. He probably didn't want people to know that he had this because he's portrayed as a strong character, as the face of the company. And, and now we're not going to see him for many, many months and everything. And I'm just saying, like, I don't want to make this all into, like, a rant about the fans and everything, but it really makes the fans look like a bunch of assholes, really, the way how they treated this guy. And they went beyond the ring. They went beyond the product when insulting him. They said a lot of really fucking nasty things about this guy that, they didn't even want him to live anymore. And then you've got something like this where his life is really threatened, and now you look like an asshole, and of course everyone is going to try to rally behind this guy, like they should. I think he deserves almost everybody's support, especially, after all the entertainment, and, as all the marks like to say, oh, they put their bodies on the line. He did. And, he deserves all the support in the world. Like I said, God bless Roman Reigns. Honestly, I mean, what this guy is battling, it's, like people saying, you're gonna beat this, and I think he will. But it's a pretty serious form of cancer. It's blood cancer. If anyone wasn't aware, and it's deadly. And I haven't had anyone in my family die from leukemia, but I've had my biological grandfather on my mom's side die of spinal cancer. I've had my grandmother on my dad's side die of breast cancer. Both super young. Like, I'm talking about my grandfather on my mom's side. He passed away when she was not even 3 years old. And my grandmother, on my dad's side, passed away when my dad was right before his 13th birthday. So you can see, we talk about Roman Reigns as a young guy and everything, but sometimes it doesn't matter. I mean, youth will definitely benefit him. Especially, I'm talking about things, those debts, those are debts that happened like in the 60s, the early and late 60s, where medicine was not evolved. It was, still very immature medicine. I mean, there's been a lot of medical advancements. And, I don't mean to bore anybody here that, doesn't want to hear about this, but, I felt I had to share because this show just becomes very minuscule when, you have an announcement like this. This is like very real to life. So I apologize if, you're not enjoying the video. I will be getting to the rest of the review, but I just want to share for a little bit. Medicine has not, it was not advanced at that point. So I'm saying, they do a lot of things. A lot of people do beat this and everything, but, it's just so many things in this world, the food, the water. There's so much against, Roman Reigns and what leads into this. I mean, we live in a world where, this disease is basically, in a lot of ways, it's man-made to a certain degree. So it's awful that it's gone on for this many years and everything. And, and as they say, I don't like the charity of Susan G. Komen. They've done a lot of underhanded things that you could, check into where they don't really use the money towards breast cancer. So I'm sure some of it goes towards there. I don't think it's a 100% scam. I don't think any charities are 100% scam, but, there are some dishonesty going around. But, it is unacceptable, as they say. It is something that should be beat, and, there should be many efforts being made. I mean, what the government does with the money and the taxpayer dollars and all these other bullshit things they put money towards, all of it should really be going towards battling this cancer, because, I mean, it's not even like it's this rare disease. You're so used to hearing that term, rare disease. It's not rare. It's a common disease, and it's the worst kind of disease. So it's like, there's many different stages of it, of course. I don't know what stage Roman Reigns was in. He was in remission. It came back, and that's the most frightening thing. I mean, it had been gone for so long, and just, all of a sudden, it just comes back. I mean, that is downright frightening. You think you have this thing beat, and it just shows that, it could come back at any time. It's downright frightening. So, I mean, I know he's gonna beat this and everything. I know everyone else is saying that here on YouTube, but I mean, it's true. I think that he's gonna beat it. I like to think that he's gonna do it. So, like I said, I don't know what you say on these kinds of things, what the right thing is to say. So I feel like the best thing is to get well soon, and God bless. And, I hope everything works out for him. And this was just a terrible way to start off the show. It really was. I mean, it was a good speech by him. I think that as the crowd listened to him, they warmed up to him and everything. And, like Schleg Daddy, I watched his video before doing this video, and he talked about how this is like the ultimate way to get this guy over as a baby face and everything. And I don't mean to be like the ultimate like SJW here. You guys know I've made so many rants against that, but I don't think this is the time to be talking about wrestling, as it relates to him. I said it in the past. I said it about Zack Ryder. That's another wrestler that had cancer as a kid. He beat it. I said that they could have used that like as a Cinderella story to try to help him along. Of course, they didn't do that. Of course, it's Roman Reigns, so it's a bigger deal. So he talked about how, they could put Roman Reigns over. He comes back. He's a cancer survivor. He comes back to do what he wants to do. It's a good idea. It's just, I like, if you're asking my opinion on it and like, what I would do, I'm not ready to talk about this. I mean, it's like, the announcement hit me, and it truly, legit, 100% brought tears to my eyes. I mean, It's a guy right there, outright admitting his, his emotions about something private about his life. I mean, I don't feel like talking about wrestling and how that could get him over. It just doesn't seem appropriate, is all I'm saying. But, it's a good point that Schleg Daddy had. It's just, I don't know. You can watch the video. Like I said, subscribe to him on OTRS Central. He's a great wrestling ranter, commentator. But yeah, I'm not ready to talk about how this relates to him getting over with the crowd and everything like that. So it's not that stage in the game. It's still fresh. It was only last night. So, I'm not ready to talk about, getting Reigns over as it relates to this. So, we'll get to the matches now, because there's only so much I could say about this. I spent over 10 minutes talking about my reaction to Reigns, and, it makes me feel horrible. It makes me feel sad, But anyway, Finn Balor defeats Bobby Lashley. And I didn't even have the energy to get annoyed at this, really, but I'm still annoyed about it. I mean, you're trying to build up Lashley, and you've got Finn Balor, who's just been doing nothing the past couple of weeks, teaming with Bayley. He's Mr. Mixed Match Challenge. Sky's done them. They've been up and down with him, left and right, this way, that way, all the way to, the other end of the spectrum with this guy. I mean, and all the way back again. He's Universal Champion. He gets injured at the hands of the cheesesteaks are fantastic. I mean, and comes back. Doesn't have the same momentum. Nowhere even close. He gets buried by Kane one night. Comes back. He takes Braun Strowman to the limit. I mean, I don't know what you want to do with this guy. Like I said, you want to make him the poster child for LGBT. That lasts like a week or two. The guy's posting on IG. He's pointing his crotch out to the crowd at a live event, I believe it was. And he says it's dinner time. I posted this picture both on my Instagram and both on my Twitter. Both of them, if you want to follow me on there, is at the Brad Rules 1. So, I said, what the hell is this? I mean, honestly, and people were telling me, like November, who's a great patron of mine on Patreon, he said to me, it's for the girls. It's for the girls, but it's like mostly men watch this product. Mostly men, I guess, are following his Instagram. I don't know. I'm sure there's a fair amount of women who find the guy attractive and all that. I'm sure this was one of Triple H's things that he once said. He said that the guy is for the girls mostly, yet their female audience, I mean, they've lied. They said that there's a lot of moms watching, and that's because, they're watching with their children. They're taking their children to the live events, So, that's a moot point, really. The male demographic of, 18 to 34, something like that, that is their primary demographic, or it might even be even higher than that now. I don't know what their demographic is anymore, but it's still always been that. You look in the audience and you will say that is the key demographic. It is 18 to 34, probably even beyond that, probably even older, maybe even a little bit younger. But so, they have female fans, these some of these marks, they bring their girlfriends to the event. It's pretty evident. You look in the crowd, you see women, you see the guys with them. So it's like, so they're going to have Finn Balor. But then they say that they want to make the character gay. And they want to make him the LBGT poster boy. And actually, like I said, I didn't have a problem with this. I'm like, this is the most character development we're probably going to see from this guy. At least they're doing something with him. It would explain, a lot of this stuff that we see, like the weird stuff on IG. And, it wouldn't be so weird if there was a story behind it. But when you're pointing your groin towards a crowd that's predominantly male and you're saying dinner time, I mean, he wrote it as a caption. I don't think he actually said it at the live event. But I'm just saying, it's like, talk about inappropriate. And the one point that I was making on social media is that this is a PG product. They say that this is a PG product and they sell it as a PG product, and they say that they're family entertainment, and I've given numerous examples over the years of, how they're not. I mean, JR being made fun of by Vince McMahon, the whole ringleader, making fun of his Bell's palsy during the PG era. Spreading Paul Bearer's ashes all over The Undertaker in the PG era. Making fun of Jerry the King Lawler's heart attack in the PG era. And still all this stuff was going on, with the WWE. Susan G. Coleman, all the same stuff was still going on. And they even had Be a Star, which I don't think they even do anymore. So all this stuff during the PG era. So there's a lot of contradictory bullshit that goes on in the PG era, but I'm just saying, like, this was like super sexual. I mean, what are we basically saying there? It's dinner time. I mean, do I really even need to say it in the context of the video? Do you really need to tell me what he's insinuating by captioning that particular photo with that particular text? I don't think I do. I don't think I really want to say it. Balor beats Lashley here. And I'm just saying to myself, what? What? You haven't done anything with this guy. Yeah, you had him squash Jinder, but that's because you don't feel like doing anything with Jinder anymore. It's not really even an accurate, scope of, how they measure this guy anymore. Jinder is the bottom of the barrel. They listen to the smarks. They don't want to, try to build up the guy. But Lashley's someone they're trying to build up. They put him with Lio Rush, and they've got to get Lio Rush away from Lashley. He's probably the most annoying fucking character I've ever seen. I mean, it kind of seems like it works in a way. But, during the match, there's something about him just yelling in the mic like a cheerleader. And the Lashley, that nonsense, it needs to cease. I mean, it is ear-bleedingly bad. And they just, I don't know, keep him as the manager, but stop with during the match. And, I don't even see what he's doing. Besides cheering him on, it's not even like a caretaker of some sorts. It's not even like an agent. I mean, I don't know really like what they really think that this guy is doing for Lashley. I know that they feel like because Lashley has never been a strong promo that they want to give him. But this guy's not really that strong of a promo either. He just basically laughs every other word. And it's more of a nervous laugh because he just can't figure what to ad-lib next. Because he's a super young kid. He's like in his early 20s and he just, he doesn't know really how to formulate an effective promo anymore. Especially, you know what I'm saying? He can't get himself over. So how's he supposed to get Lashley over? And Lashley was already over when he beat Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view. And now you're telling me that this guy that beat Roman Reigns clean, that Balor, okay, I guess, we're going to save face by having it end with a roll-up, but he still beat him. A guy that's done nothing for months and months, and all of a sudden he just swoops in and takes a victory from Lashley. Like I said, is there any momentum in this company? Is there any sense of worth in any one of their talents? I mean, is it always got to be, win one? I mean, Lashley won like 3 matches, so I guess it was time for him to lose one, I guess. What happened to guys like winning for months and months and not losing, so when they did eventually lose, it actually meant something? But you see, none of this matters because all this ideology is nowhere with the WWE. Road Dogg had already said it about 2 years ago. Wins and losses do not matter anymore. So, we're all just basically ranting for naught. I mean, it's just, these things don't matter anymore. They're past concepts that once did mean something and were once put into practice. This is what I'm saying. You know, undoubtedly, I know people argued, and even, I think, even Vince Russo had even said it one time during a Raw review of his. He said that, you know, there's no way that the product could be any worse than 1995. But at least in 1995, I understand we had, you know, all these, you know, TJ Hopper characters and all this other nonsense and, you know, a cartoonish product. You know, point taken, but the thing is, at least there was psychology, at least there was logic. The Undertaker barely lost a match, Bret Hart barely lost a match, Shawn Michaels barely losing matches, you know, and when they did lose, it really meant something. It would be on a grand stage, it would be at a SummerSlam, it would be at a WrestleMania, not some random ass Raw. But like I said, you know, it's a different time. It's a different era. And I will say that this is undoubtedly the worst. And it's not hyperbole. This is not just so when you're watching the video, you get empowered and, you know, say, oh, you know, Brad's right. No, it's like, no, it truly, truly is. Back then, it felt less manufactured. It still might have been terrible. But like I said, at least you had Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Taker. You had some decent members of the roster. Yes, you know, it was dwindling. It was fleeting. It wasn't as good as it used to be. You know, they had like some guys that were just strapped with really horrible gimmicks. Not that they were terrible talents, but it was hard to kind of get into these guys when they had such abysmal characters. But at least they had characters. That's the one thing I will say. At least that these guys tried the best they could. Even that fucking magician guy that they had, you know, that was pulling the streamers out of himself, whatever the fuck his name was, like, I forget his name, but you know what I'm talking about with the white mask. You know, at least these guys played into their characters. Like, when these guys have characters, they don't even play into them. They don't even know what their characters are. Shouldn't even say characters. They're nicknames. The archetype, you know, it's just like the architect. It's just no one knows what they're supposed to do. The boss, you know, they're nicknames. They're not characters. Those were characters. So, you know, at least you had a sense of characters, and, you know, they did tell decent amount of little stories, nothing too substantial. That's probably something that was pretty identical. They didn't really have that many characters. I mean, they have plenty of characters. They didn't have that many, like, stimulating storylines. So they're kind of even there, but the product was better. You know, I just think that it was better. They worked a better style. The matches were better. You didn't have 1,000 injuries. And you wouldn't have stupid shit like this. You know, as dumb as some of the characters were, you wouldn't have a guy like Finn Balor going over on it. It was like, it would have been like Marty Jannetty or Leif Cassidy beating The Undertaker. It just wouldn't look right. The same thing with Balor beating Bobby Lashley. Ruby Riott defeated Sasha Jar Jar Binks, and hey, you know, I have to say, Ruby Riott, they redid her look. I've noticed, like, the way she's working matches. I'm becoming a Ruby Riott fan. This is also coming from a guy, like I said, that I made a video, Ruby Riott sucks. I thought the way they were presenting her looked stupid. She had this red outfit that just wasn't, you know, doing it for me. I was just saying, like, this, and I don't know, the way they were putting her. Now, still, you know, putting mustard and ketchup on a dressing room door and all this other stuff. It's like, if you want to make these girls punks and starting a riot and all that, and she lives up to her name, why don't you actually, like, go and trash, like, Sasha Banks' car or something like that? Why don't you do something that's gonna, like, make you stand out? But once again, you know, it's just the mundane. It's just the most basic thing possible. So, I'll still never understand to this day about Sasha Banks and how they've handled her and what they've done with her. So, she was, like, in the first ever Hell in a Cell with Charlotte. You know, she was on the top of the world. The crowd was behind her. Then a lot of this information came out that she's a downright asshole, and that she, you know, sometimes refuses to take pictures with fans. And, you know, when she does take pictures with fans, she does like a resting bitch face, you know, like she's really not happy to be there. And, you know, she lost fan support. And also the WWE just like pulled the reins back on her. And I don't know if it was because of that, but like, I still don't understand how this girl's a babyface. I mean, you want to ask the question, you know, why certain wrestlers are baby faces and heels. I have to ask, like, how the hell is Sasha Banks someone that the crowd, you know, couldn't care less about? How is she a baby face when everybody knows how she is outside of the ring? That she's not a good person. That she works in the business where the fans support the product, yet she treats them like garbage. You know, she's the reason why she has any money in her pocket at all. So Sasha Banks, just, you know, she is downright responsible for ending Paige's career. See, this is what I said. I don't understand why What Culture and everyone else, you know, I'm not saying that what Brie Bella did was right, but when she knocked out Liv Morgan, at least Liv Morgan was able to get up, get out of the ring on her own volition. She was able to continue to wrestle about a week later. Sasha Banks delivers a kick to the back of Paige's head when she's not looking, when she's not expecting it. She gets knocked out. And she's not allowed to return to the ring because this time around it wasn't getting knocked out. It was a concussion. Something she had a history of. So, you know, just like Bret Hart always says, you got to take care of your opponent in the ring. Your opponent is your friend. That's your colleague. That's your, you know, your co-worker. So, you know, when you're at work, you want to take care of your colleagues. You don't want to throw them under the bus. You don't want to injure them. But Sasha Banks did. She was careless. She was reckless. So what I'm basically trying to paint the picture is, how are we coming down so hard on Brie Bella? And I know people saying there was numerous incidents. Yeah, but she never injured anybody. Sasha Banks has. And I don't know if there's been multiple others, but I'm saying, like, she ended this girl's career. And I don't see that video coming from What Culture. I didn't see that months ago. Who made the video? Me. I made it. I said the truth during that time. And, you know, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think I was the only person in the entire YWC that was actually honest about that incident. And you guys know that I actually liked Sasha Banks for a time. But then I realized that the girl really has, you know, she's very one-dimensional. She's a dangerous worker. I mean, she ended Paige's career, who was a very promising talent. Now she's relegated to being just a fucking authority figure on the show. She'll probably never return to the ring again. I mean, there is the Daniel Bryan, you know, hope. But I don't know, you know. But Sasha, you know, I know that Paige doesn't blame Sasha. And I know that people are going to say by that, they're going to, like, say, oh, that Sasha's innocent. Just because Paige is being classy. She doesn't want to blame it on that one incident. But we all saw that when she got kicked in the back of the head, she went down like a ton of bricks. And her career was over pretty much the very next day. She waited a month to announce it. But her career was pretty much, you know, dead in the water from that point on. So, you know, Ruby Riott beats her and everything. I think is, like I said, just to reiterate for people that didn't watch that video back then, or the previous times I commented on, I believe that Sasha Banks, not that she should have been fired, but she should have been demoted back to NXT. At least do that. I'm never for anybody losing their job, but she did deserve a demotion. Send her back to NXT until she could learn. And, I mean, there's still some dangerous workers down there, so I don't know if that's what's best for her, but, you know, she needs to go and talk to some wrestlers. Like, for example, you've got Shane Helms down there. Gregory Helms, the Hurricane Helms. This guy worked a high-flying style in 3 count. You know, he did these dangerous ladder matches, and somehow nobody ever really got injured. So, probably she should go and talk to somebody like that seems pretty knowledgeable how to work a higher risk style but still keep everyone safe. I don't know how you do that, but that's why Gregory Helms is the professional and I'm not. So, you know, the motion, maybe take her out of the ring for a while, talk to some of these guys that are down there, Isn't Albert still down there? You've got a whole bunch of people. Isn't Billy Gunn still down there? Whoever's down there, they know what they're doing. Pretty much all these guys from the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, they all knew what they were doing. The injuries were fewer and far between. Once in a while, you'd see a big star go down like Batista, but like I said, it wasn't that prevalent as it is now. DX is in the ring, and, it's like, they're DX, and they're just so neutered. They're not allowed to say anything. They can't say suck it. They can't do fucking anything at all. They're just DX, but like I said, they're just a watered down. They're a diet DX. They're just nowhere where they used to be. So put them in the ring, and once again, we're hiding the fact that we're in Saudi Arabia. It's Crown Jewel, guys. It's no longer, they always say where they're, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit. So maybe I'll save that. So Undertaker and Kane. It's interesting that they had Shawn Michaels talk about, how the Kane, went down to the boiler room of his mayor's office and they cut the, the promo. So it was kind of funny they said that. But also, it shows how ridiculous it is, because then in the next segment, they're at the graveyard shoveling dirt, and they had tombstones with, Shawn Michaels, Triple H's name. And, I like this segment and everything. It looked good. We've seen this tons of times before, but, I mean, it's fine. The only thing is, it's so ridiculous to think that this guy is mayor. He's a politician in Tennessee, and you're putting this guy back in the mask with the wig on, and it is like what Shawn Michaels said. It's just a ridiculous image being painted here. I'm just saying, like, once Kane became mayor, they should have just bowed out, but because it's a big payday, and it is so ridiculous, like I said, these wrestlers, they need to have a little bit of integrity. Kane, you're mayor already. You've made plenty of money, but you got to make one last payday. I understand that these people, they have families, so they probably want to set them up, as good as possible, so I guess I can't fault them too much. But, like, this is mostly, I understand if you're a young talent, if you're a Finn Balor, if you're somebody like that, like a Seth Rollins, and you're going to go over there, and, you're going to reap the benefits. This is a major payday for you. And, you don't have a good standing with the company where you could say, I'm not going to go. RVD did that with the tribute to the troops, and he had a very, tumultuous couple of years with the WWE. But I will say that despite what people said, I don't really know how much that worked against him, because he still did go on to become a champion after refusing to do the tribute to the troops. That one I kind of look at like RVD, and I don't know what to think of him after that. I mean, that was kind of shitty. It was something for the troops. He should have gone. I agree with Vince McMahon for a rare occasion there. But when it comes to Saudi Arabia, a dangerous country where something, extremely horrible just happened. I get why the young guys are going, because this is their career and they need to be in good standing with Vince and everybody, because they don't have the accolades of these. But Undertaker, Kane, and I'm like very shocked at Undertaker, and I'm actually a little bit like disappointed. I think I mentioned this maybe in my last Crown Jewel rant that I put out here on this channel. Undertaker is a very proud American and everything, so I'm very kind of disappointed in the guy that he's decided to go there. I mean, they're so ashamed that they're going there. They're not even saying that they're there, but I'm going to hold off on that a little bit because I still want to rant on that when it's more appropriate here. But it's just that these guys don't need a payday. Shawn Michaels is coming out of retirement, and I feel like it's slightly marred because he should just come out of retirement for Survivor Series or WrestleMania. He's coming out for Crown Jewel. Like, And it seems like Crown Jewel's not just an international pay-per-view. Like I said, they made sure they didn't book an October pay-per-view. There's No Mercy is, pretty obviously absent here. So, doesn't look like they're going to be doing any other pay-per-view this month. So, I don't know what to tell you. But, them going is just, it's a little bit strange. Like, why do they need this big payday? I understand that, several $1 million is kind of hard to turn down. But you kind of have to look at it like these younger guys, they need it. Other people like Rey Mysterio and Kurt Angle, they don't really need it. Like, they've already have plenty of money. They're in good standing with the company pretty much for life. I don't think them turning down Crown Jewel's really going to hurt them too bad. But anyway, Kurt Angle is a company guy. He's a yes man. We already see what he does is, GM, or this guy basically gets castrated every night by Stephanie McMahon. He's willing to do whatever the company asks of him. So, I don't know. But I just think it's a little bit, very, not just a little bit, but it's in very poor taste that all these people are going to this country to do this show when they are even ashamed of saying the name. Which brings me to my next point. Paul Heyman comes out, classy promo from Heyman. They put it on his shoulders to say that the show has to go on as far as the Universal title is considered, and he did a good job here. This brought out Braun Strowman, where he said that Roman Reigns is going to be first in line when he comes back. And the funny thing is look at the language that was used here. So very classy from these guys and everything. I mean, I like it. It's breaking kayfabe, but I guess this is maybe one night where we can, allow a little bit of the breaking of kayfabe, because we had no choice to do that at the beginning of the show. So this was more reality based. This was good. We should probably see more of this. So Braun Strowman says that he's going to kick Roman Reigns' ass from, not Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar's ass from one end of Crown Jewel to the other. So, I've never heard a wrestler say that they're going to kick somebody's ass from one end of WrestleMania to another. You see what I'm saying there? They usually say the name of the city. Usually because like they're doing it in the city, not in the pay-per-view. They're doing it on a pay-per-view. The pay-per-view is the presentation. I guess it sort of makes sense, but we all know what they usually say. I'm going to kick your end from one end of Boston to the other, one end of Houston to the other. You get the point. They usually say the city. They usually say the state. They usually say the country. But you notice that here, Braun said the name of the event. And I'm not grasping at straws here. It's quite obvious from all the promos we've heard up to this point so far on this show that they're just not willing to say the name of the fucking pay-per-view because they're too fucking ashamed to admit where they're doing the show. But you're going to eventually end up going there and doing the show. So when you're in Saudi Arabia, are you gonna say Saudi Arabia, or are you just gonna say we're at Crown Jewel the whole night? Hey, look at all these people. This is obviously not the U.S. This isn't Canada. This isn't Mexico. This isn't Australia. It certainly looks different. Hey, there's no women performing on the show. Hey there, which is really funny because there was a promo tonight where Nia Jax said there's nothing that women can't do. And guys, I'm not going to take credit for it. Wade Keller, a broken clock is right twice a day, actually said, except, performing an event in Saudi Arabia. Wade Keller, I have to say, I commend you for that comment, good sir. I think that you're a horrible journalist, But dear Lord, that was fucking funny. I laughed. I LOL'd when I heard that, when I read that comment. That was pretty fucking funny when you said that. So it's true. It's like they want to sell all this. Oh, we're women. We're feminists. We could do whatever we want. And you know something? I'm all for that. Let women do what they want. Let's do everything. We never said that there wasn't any equality. And I get it, they're trying to erase the poor image of their bra and panties and stuff, poor image from their perspective. They actually had one of the best images that they ever had when they were doing bra and panties and swimsuit competitions. The ratings were certainly higher. So, anyway, but we don't want to focus on that anymore. But in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. So, that's really going to be very interesting when they go to do the show. Are they really going to just do this whole show and not say... Because what is the difference? What is the difference? I guess maybe they don't want to promote Saudi Arabia on, an American telecast. Or is it that they just don't want to, they don't want to say it at all? Which is going to be ridiculous. Because if you feel that guilty about it... And this is a very weird set of morals here from Vince McMahon and management. How, by not saying the name of Saudi Arabia, is that any better? It's still happening there. Are they just, kind of hoping that anyone that wasn't aware that the event is happening in Saudi Arabia is not going to soon catch on to it? Are they hoping that any person in the media, after all everyone's already reported on it, Fox Sports, and they've all been taken to task on this. Vince, if you're so worried about an image and that you're worried about, you want to be held in the good graces, we need to be accepted by the mainstream. If you're so worried about that and that mainstream acceptance, then, why do you do, half the things that you do in this company? You know what I'm saying? It's just, and why would you do it in Saudi Arabia? If you went through all the fucking trouble of, doing this women empowerment thing and, all these charities and Susan G. Komen and Connor's Cure and every single month it's a new charity and, it's all politically correct nonsense and all that, we're still going to do the show in Saudi Arabia, even when you're coming under fire. If you go ahead and you do that show in Saudi Arabia and someone big in the media decides to report on it, then guess what? You might as well forget about everything that you tried to build, this brand and everything. I mean, my God. I seriously hope that Disney refuses you to buy it out. Wouldn't that be funny if Vince manages to get all the money that he's ever had his whole entire life, he builds it up, and then finally he pitches the sale to Disney, and they're like, well, Vince, you've built a very impressive brand. You've done everything possible to make the most money you can and get the most exposure. You got the show on Fox. You've got a network and everything with several million subscribers. But remember that one time you went to Saudi Arabia when everybody was telling you not to and it was in poor taste? Well, yeah, it wouldn't be such a smart PR move for us to buy your company under those circumstances. So you see what I'm saying? If Vince goes there, I think he's damning himself. It's not a social justice concern. It's not good taste or anything, but he's going to fuck himself over. I know something is going to come back to bite him in the ass about this. And, yeah, it is just in bad taste. It's in very, very, very fucking bad taste. So, Drew McIntyre came out, did the kick to Braun Strowman, the Claymore, and he went monster hunting. So I don't know if they're planning on adding Drew into this match, but it's going to be Braun versus Brock. Brock, of course, wasn't there. Elias defeated Apollo Crews. So I don't even understand the point. Last week you have Apollo Crews press Elias over his head. I know he's capable of it. I see the man's physique. but that is showing super dominance over somebody else. And he just, fucking tosses him. Elias runs out of the ring, doesn't even retaliate. So he beat him this week. Elias beats him. And that's the way it should be. But it's like, why is Elias even at this point in his career, really? Like I'm saying, this is a guy that's gotten fucked over out of a WrestleMania match, out of a SummerSlam match. You have this guy where the whole crowd is chanting along with him. He did this impressive feat where he got the whole crowd to boo him in Seattle. So then after that, we have a little segment with Kurt Angle, and he talks about the wrestlers that are going to be involved in the World Cup. No, it's not soccer. This is the event. And once again, it's just a crown jewel. Where is Crown Jewel, by the way? Huh? Like, where is it? I guess it's in parts unknown. I'm just saying this is going to be so fucking weird. If they go to Crown Jewel on Sunday and the whole event they don't say where they are, I mean, because they're going to do, like, interviews with people. Like, I think they did it last time. I didn't watch the show last time. But what was the greatest Royal Rumble? They're going to want to talk to the crowd. They're going to want to do interviews and stuff outside the arena. And if they don't do that this time, I'm just saying, like, man, I understand this is a big payday for them, but Jesus Christ, this is going to look so fucking awful. So Angle talks about these wrestlers, and it's very, like, weird. Like, he said that The Miz had the best year he ever had last year. And I was arguing with people on YouTube, over on their YouTube page. But a lot of people ended up agreeing with me, too. And I got quite a few likes, which made me feel pretty good about the statement I made. It says, how is this year, last year, whatever he meant, like this year that just passed, or 2017, he said The Miz had the best year he ever had. Okay, so how did having 600 matches with Seth Rollins and having a lackluster feud with Daniel Bryan that didn't meet expectations by any stretch of the imagination, how was that better than in late 2010 to 2011, where The Miz was the world champion? He main evented WrestleMania, and I don't care what you say that The Rock and John Cena overshadowed The Miz in that feud. The Miz shared the ring with The Rock and John Cena, not at WrestleMania only, but at Survivor Series. The guy main evented both those pay-per-views. And also, he ran roughshod over the WWE with R-Truth for a few months. Whatever the case may be, I'm sure if you ask The Miz what his favorite moments and his favorite year was, I think he'd probably tell you the year he was world champion. Now, people said they didn't like his world championship reign, but it doesn't matter. The year when someone is a champion is undoubtedly their best year. It doesn't matter the fucking 15, 20 times that The Miz won the workhorse title, the IC title. Maybe people have already been brainwashed by Seth Rollins into believing that bullshit. But no, the world title has always been the premier title. And he won the WWE title. He won the Bruno Sammartino title. He won the Stone Cold Steve Austin title, the Hulk Hogan title. He cemented his legacy that year. So I'm sure if you ask him non-kayfabe as a shoot in real life, he will tell you 2011 was his best year, bar none. So it's not even like an argument. So to make that announcement even in kayfabe on the show, and like I said, it's like the top 5 lists. It doesn't matter. It sounds ridiculous in context. It shows that if you even have to say that you need to be doing more with The Miz. And the little blurb he said about Randy Orton, like he's more dangerous than ever. It just seemed lazy. Like it was obviously the shortest little profile he gave to any of the 8 wrestlers. So he makes 8, whatever the case may be. I didn't understand these little introductions, and he had to go through all 8 I was like, oh my god, it's kind of like when Batista said that he had 4 points, and he goes through all 4, like, oh god. Then we come back, and it's Elias on the stage, and this was a good segment. Baron Corbin tries to shame him, tells him to get off the stage. He would fire him himself, but he said Stephanie likes him. When he has his back turned, Elias comes and bashes the guitar over his back. That was probably one of the best shots I've seen him do with the guitar. That was great. I guess, is he going face? You know, I'm not, like, a big fan of this. Like, everyone always says going face, going heel is going to change these people's career, because look at Lashley. He went heel. He lost to Finn Balor. You know, I'm saying this might have meant something back in the day when they had competent writers, like even during the Ruthless Aggression era. But you can't no longer say that, because they're putting these guys out there. It doesn't matter if they're faces or heroes. They're getting buried. They're not being portrayed well at all. But this was a good segment. I liked it. You know, finally, like, something happening different that we don't often see. Then we had the contract signing between the Bellas and Ronda Rousey. And the Bellas really, like, egged on Rousey and everything. And I understand that Rousey was like, you know, so get in the ring, guys. I'm not going to hurt you and all that. And they insult her to her face. And they make like she's going to save all her aggression for the pay-per-view. And, you know, at Evolution. So wait a minute. So what is the thing at Evolution? Is it a handicap match? Or is she just wrestling Nikki Bella? I think it's just Nikki Bella for whatever reason. So I don't even know why Bree's there. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. Like, Daniel Bryan is a babyface, and you've got his wife on Raw, and she's like co-signing with like insulting Ronda Rousey, you know, and like, you know, saying her mom is disappointed. It's like, what? We were breaking kayfabe slightly just to come all full circle, and now we're kayfabe again. It's the thing. It's the same thing with Shawn Michaels cutting the promo on Kane. We're breaking kayfabe. We're admitting he's the mayor, but then he goes and puts the mask back on. And he's at a graveyard. Like I said, man, I've done so many rants on this and mentioned in so many Raw and SmackDown reviews, and even as of late. When you're going to reveal these people's lives on social media, when you're going to downright sacrifice your kayfabe, and you're going to show us the real life of these wrestlers, and, you know, the Roman Reigns thing at the beginning of the show, that right there, they should have said right there, we're doing away with kayfabe. We're going to, you know, or at least have a very, very different perspective on kayfabe. Like I'm saying with Broken Matt Hardy, where he's basically living the gimmick. You know, if you're going to live the gimmick, then that should be the exceptions to the rule. But there shouldn't be any other nonsense. Like I said, it was ridiculous when Rusev is posting pictures of him and Lana, and, you know, and then getting married and stuff on social media. And, you know, like, and that shit, like, cost him his career, basically. But it's like, why? They don't even care about kayfabe as it is. So, you know, they're doing all these things. And then they still insist on doing, like, a storyline with Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae. Remember all that stuff years ago? It's like, if you're going to show it to us, and you're going to have these people have millions of followers on Instagram and Twitter, I'm sorry, but you can't have kayfabe then. Like I said, unless you're going to be like Hardy and live the gimmick and really make it your thing, then you just can't have this kayfabe anymore. Because it looks completely ridiculous when they're playing this character on the show, and then you're showing us something completely different behind the scenes. You know, it's like, what story are we supposed to believe here? They're all just like basically counting on us being like idiots, complete morons. We're living in a different time, as Road Dogg had even said. So we should get a much different product as a result. I don't get it at all. Like, Why do they still continue to do the same thing? At the beginning of the show, like I said, if anything, Roman Reigns' announcement, that should have marked the end of kayfabe. They should have done away with it. Said, guys, this is proof right here that we're going to break character, so we might as well just do away with it and start doing a whole different style of show. But no. Mandy Rose, Goddess fan, you change your name so many times, it's hard for me to remember, but posted a link to me on IG and showed me that Fox wants SmackDown to be more sports-like. Really? More sports-like. A fake sport. To be more sports-like. Not more entertainment. They said less comedy. The comedy is the only thing that keeps this show entertainment-wise. I mean, I don't know. This Fox deal is something interesting, to say the least. So anyway, back to Ronda Rousey. So after she says that to the Bellas, she said, I promise, I will end you at the pay-per-view. And she walks away with a big smile on her face. And I get it. They're trying to do a Jekyll and Hyde type of spiel right here. But it's not working at all. I mean, I like Ronda Rousey. I like her a lot. I think that she is a great talent. And when they do let her shine on the mic and not be smiling Ronda Rousey, I think she's really good. But this with the smiling and the whole 9 yards of trying to be super positive and all that, you're calling her the baddest woman on the planet. So why not have her act like a badass? Have her live up to the name. Like I said, the name is an offshoot of Mike Tyson, the baddest man on the planet. But Ronda Rousey, the baddest woman on the planet, and she's smiling. Can you imagine if Mike Tyson smiled after kicking someone's ass? I mean, it's just, I'm saying, I don't know where their priorities are. You look at, this whole rant and everything I've said, and you know it's all 100% true. And you just say, oh my fucking God, what a mess this guy, because I'm even thinking about it sitting back and everything like this. What a fucking show here. Not for good reasons, but we're not done. There's still something good left on this show. So, and it's not this. Ember Moon defeats Nia Jax, Tamina, and Dana Brooke. So you've got these monsters, Nia Jax and Dana, and they get the win to Ember Moon. Don't give it to the returning Tamina by any means. Superfly Jimmy Snuka's daughter. Don't give it to her after you're putting her over during the whole match. No, she just returned. And you don't even have the decency to even have her team win last week. And you're not going to give... Oh, my God. And in the Battle Royal, we're going to have Tori Wilson. And all these returns... Okay, if you're going to do this... Please, I know they used to do this during the Battle Royal. They're not going to show the entrance of every wrestler, but please, for the love of God, do what you used to do when you used to do these Battle Royals on SmackDown. Have the last, 6 or 5 or 4 at least wrestlers come into the ring with an entrance. So you've got Tori Wilson, you've got Kelly Kelly. Please. Give them their own entrance. Do not, I repeat, do not do what you did at WrestleMania 25 during that 25th anniversary Divas Battle Royal. Do not have all the girls trot down to the ring at the exact same time, as Kid Rock played them to the ring. Do not do that. You're going to bury all those girls all at the same time. I mean, just come on. Because I got a feeling that's exactly what they're going to do. But hopefully they've wised up. It's going to be interesting. I got to say, I'm very interested to see who they're going to pick to win this Battle Royal. If they give it to a diva, that would be hysterical. And, I love how there's this clear differential between diva and woman, I guess. What is the other term? I guess superstar? Is that what they're supposed to be referred to as? I thought they were all superstars just a diva was just a type of female superstar. But I don't know. I kind of feel like sometimes they try to make like the divas are not the good wrestlers and that the women's division superstars are the good ones. I don't know. I don't know what their logic, their ideology is here. But obviously when they say diva, there's some negative connotations to it. So, Tori Wilson, I mean, that's a good pick right there to put her in there. Just I hope they give her own entrance, because the reason why I'm saying this is because if you're having a battle royal, no one's going to really, like, notice these girls. Like, you're not going to stand out in a battle royal, so you might as well just give them a nice, good entrance to bring them into the match. Titus, in this segment right here I'm about to talk about, is, like, why do you need to get off the charity stuff? I've said I like Titus O'Neil. This guy's had one hell of a fucking wild ride of a career, not for good reasons. The guy, you know, he went in to hug Vince or push Vince or something like that when they did a celebration off the air. And, you know, Vince ended up suspending the guy. He ended up missing WrestleMania. And it brought a lot of allegations of racism and all that, and this guy's just, he's had a tumultuous career, to say the least. And, you know, they want to use this guy as an ambassador, but I always look at it like they treat this guy like a jobber, so it's like, you know, he's the ambassador just because they have nothing else to do. You know, he's got a good image. He's a, you know, supposedly a good father, everything. He does a lot of things for his community. I think he'd be a great babyface. I mean, he'd be the ultimate babyface if they actually buckled down and decided to, you know, do what's right in this company and give people their just dues. But, you know, I don't know what they're doing with this guy. So, you know, now he's the Susan G. Komen spokesman. And he's out on the ramp, and, you know, they do the and, you know, people are cheering them. It's like, okay, we're at a wrestling event, it's charity, so, you know, we'll be polite and clap and cheer a little bit. But, you know, they're not going to get, like, a Hulk Hogan reaction, because it's like, you know, you're at a wrestling event. It's like, the charity thing just really doesn't have any place here. Like, I've said this for many years. It's ridiculous. There's been things said about Susan G. Komen. They don't care. They're gonna, you know, this is still a charity. The charity's in the name, so as long as it's known as a charity, it's good enough for them. It's a popular one, so they're gonna try to whore it out as much as possible. Whatever. Any money goes towards any type of research, that's fine with me. Whatever. You know, like I said, I think almost every single charity probably has a dark spot to them. So, you know, I don't know how true the claims are, how fabricated it is, but, you know, it's very hard to get concrete evidence on this sort of thing. But I'm sure there's a fair amount of money that probably doesn't go to what it's supposed to. Whatever it may be. So, you know, whatever, the fans, they cheer, whatever. And Titus, like, got downright aggressive during this. He did. Okay, he asked for them to cheer once, twice, and then he's like, you know, come on, guys, like, give them a better reception than that. And it was like too much. It's like, okay, they cheered, move on. Move on already to the next thing, because it's like the people don't want to see this. They paid their hard-earned money to see a fucking show. And, you know, we're being filled with you know, all this shit, charity and everything. And, you know, the other thing is, we've already gone through the thing with Roman Reigns tonight, which is already tugging on people's heartstrings, and it was a giant wake-up call to everybody. And, you know, I'm sorry, but, like, there's only so much sympathy a human can handle. It would have been wise to probably just sit that shit out for the night and just let us have the moment with Reigns. I mean, you know, instead of, you know, making the whole night about cancer. It was like the opening was all we need. And I'm being serious here. It's too much. I understand it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month and everything, but okay, do a little promo. But I mean, like, Titus is demanding the emotion from the crowd. I'm sorry, but you can't grab emotion from the crowd. It has to be evoked naturally like it was for Roman Reigns. So, I don't know if Titus had an earpiece and Vince was making him do this, or Titus ad-libbed this, but whoever it was, somebody was wrong in doing that. You know, oh, come on, show us your sympathy. Like, calm down. If we have sympathy, we'll give it. If we don't have it, we won't give it. I mean, you know, it's like, come on. Do I think that they should cheer for them? Yes, but I mean, you know, let's be honest. How hard do you want us to cheer for, you know, just random people you brought out on the stage? I understand that, but, you know. Mickie James and Alicia Fox attacked Trish Stratus and Lita backstage, but then they turned it around and had Trish and Lita just beat them back up. So now the baby faces have the heat. Ho ho! Hey! So, logic and psychology will always preach that the heel should always go into the match with the most heat possible. So I get it. Alexa is injured this week. She might not even be able to make it to the pay-per-view. Hope she's okay to do it, because I do want to see the match. I am looking forward to seeing it to a certain degree. But Alicia Fox is there to just fill in. So, okay, whatever the case may be. But at least keep the heat on the heels, for the love of God. But no. And this backstage thing, this just felt really disappointing to what's supposed to be a big old dream match. They didn't really hype it up that well. Like this whole show for Evolution, it just feels downright lazy. And what matches are booked for this? I assume it's going to be a 4-hour pay-per-view like it always is, right? So what do you got? Trish and Lita versus Mickie James and maybe Alicia Fox, maybe Alexa. You know, there's a little gray area there. We've got Ronda versus Nikki Bella. A Battle Royal. Charlotte versus Becky, you know, for the 50th time, I guess. Other than that, what else is booked for this show? You already took 2 matches and made it into one, you know, with the Lita and Mickie James thing. So, what else are we getting here at this pay-per-view? This is what I said. I said it. I called it 3 or 4 months ago. I said that they were going to poorly build this show up. I said they were going to go into it with zero heat, and lo and behold, they did. Ronda's walking away from the ring, smiling. Hey! You know, you've got the heels with zero heat headed into this pay-per-view. So, once again, I'm right. And it's sad because it's like you could already predict this. You don't need me to tell you this. You could already know. You've been watching this product for how many years now? You know, maybe not as long as me, but you already know how this is going to go. You already know it's going to be a 4-hour. It might be a decent pay-per-view from a wrestling perspective, but from a heat perspective and a build-up perspective and a story perspective, it's going to be a 0 out of 10. I mean, really. And then in the main event, it was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins defeating Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. You know, and they lost the titles here, and it's like, oh, it's the Shield reunion, and then Dean Ambrose turns, and a sad night became a somewhat better night, because that was a pretty good finish right there. I have to say, guys, that was a good turn. You thought that at the end of this show, that this was going to be the last time. You thought, if anything, when you saw Dean Ambrose and when Seth Rollins came out and that guy looked like he was about to burst into tears. I know I did like the cheesesteak thing, but I couldn't make fun of him. Rollins seemed very human at that stage. Ambrose as well. They all came out and hugged. They've been riding up and down the road together for so long. I was like, that really touched me. So I just, if you guys are wondering why I didn't say too much about Seth Rollins, is because I felt a little bit better, warmer towards Seth Rollins when it came to this particular episode of Raw. So, you know, I laid off Rollins considerably here, when I would have usually lambasted his ass most of the time. But, you know, and Rollins sold it very well. And, you know, Ambrose says, watch what you say. I don't know if it was because of the lunatic comment last week or what it was supposed to be, but I thought it was, like, I'm surprised at them. I really thought that, you know, like, I'm like, oh, they're winning the titles. This is going to probably be it. You know, like, this is the feel-good moment because of Roman and everything. And I get that, and I wouldn't fault them for doing that. And I probably would just sign off of this review saying, okay, you know, I understand why they did that, whatever. They took the titles off of Dolph and Drew already, and whatever the case may be. Because they seem like they might be, thankfully, maybe bringing Drew to the main event, maybe. You know, they finally realize that he's this big, huge fucking dude who looks like he belongs in the World Championship picture. He does look like he could hang with the Brock Lesnar, you know, if built properly. But, you know, we're talking about builds, so I don't know about that. They don't want to build any new stars. But, you know, you would think they'd go for the feel-good moment, you know, save face and sign off the air, you know, with, you know, just like a kind of eventful, but, you know, just kind of, you know, bittersweet type of victory there. But no, they actually turned Ambrose, and there was a lot of heat there because of the Roman thing, and, you know, you didn't think that this was going to happen, and this was, you know, even with Cole shouted out, not on this night. It was one of the first times when I actually thought a piece of Cole business went over pretty well. That was pretty good, you know. Cole throwing in that comment is exactly, you know, not on this night when Roman just announced, you know, when he'd love to see his brothers together, I'm sure. So that was pretty effective. And the other thing was, you had Ambrose. The first time I've seen this, the last time I remember seeing this particular spot was actually in a Randy Orton, Chris Benoit, street fight on SmackDown, like back in 05 or so, where they went to go for a pile driver. But Ambrose actually took the mat, the ringside mat, picked it up, exposed the concrete, and did the DDT, did the dirty deeds right on that to Seth Rollins. And I was like, damn, I haven't seen that in a long time. You know, all this, you know, oh, he threw him over the desk, oh, into the timekeeper's area, oh, through the barricade. I haven't seen that spot in a very long time. So I appreciate seeing that again. This was a pretty effective heel turn, and it was vicious. Ambrose looked good doing it. He looked heel. And, you know, oh God, it's these writers again, but I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to go with Dean. God, please, for the love of God, could they just do something at least decent? I mean, I will say this. They did seem like certain times in this show that they were willing to go the extra mile. I mean, you did have the backstage brawl with the girls. The wrong people got the heat, though, but it still was something a little different backstage. Then you had Elias, and which this to a much higher degree was good with Corbin. You know, that was really good with the guitar. And, you know, I don't want to count the Roman thing being good. I mean, it was a good speech. It was empowering. But, you know, we felt like Roman was going to beat this. It was very uplifting, you know. But, you know, it was very emotional. It wasn't a very happy night. But they made it, you know, they made it better really at the end. They gave us a good little storyline finally that paid off. And it looked good. I think they should have done it a lot sooner. And some of the reasons for Ambrose turning, I know, are going to be ridiculous. I mean, if they really make that the reason that he said, you know, he's on lunatic time, that's going to be fucking ridiculous. I mean, don't, whatever you do, don't make that the reason. But he was saying, watch your mouth. Just change it to something else. Maybe Seth said something to him off camera. They could use that. I don't know. But anyway, guys, there you go. This is probably the longest Raw review I've ever fucking did, but I'm sorry. I had a lot to say. Very, very disappointed in them with Saudi Arabia. I mean, disappointed. I expected disappointment. Very emotional about the Roman Reigns announcement. You know, I have a lot of different feelings about that. Like I said, you know, that should have marked the end of kayfabe right there. I mean, to have the guy go out there, pour his heart out, you know, almost burst into tears. Seth Rollins, you know, pretty much trying to fight back, just completely bawling. Very emotional. Just, so, you know, there's no words to really describe this, to put it in the proper context. That's the thing when something like this happens. So, yeah, there you go, guys. There is your Raw review. I hope you all enjoyed this supersized edition. So, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Hope that you do, and you check that you're still subscribed. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, check out some of my other videos I posted here. And this has been your YWC champ. And I'm signing out.